Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Our next guest is a human lie detector. His name is Steve Van Aperen. He's a world-renowned specialist in human behaviour, in deception detection and analysing a person's body language, which allows him to read people like a book, and he's often used to help in homicide cases. Let's assume Jonesy hasn't murdered anybody. But Steve, hello and welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. This is exactly why I have no friends.
How socially does it go? Are you treated by your friends like psychics are? You think you read too much into me, therefore we can't socialise?
Well, my golfing partners know better to lie to me about their scores, that's for sure. But look, when I was a detective for 14 years, and back in those days, what really amazed me is that some of the detectives were not very good at reading body language and detecting deception. So I was always interested in psychological profiling. So I went over to the FBI. But the more time I spent with their behavioural analysis unit, the more interested I became in cognitive and behavioural interviewing. I wanted to know why some people made really good liars and others were absolutely terrible.
And what is the difference? Is there some people are better at it?
Well, yeah. Look, the more complex the lie, it takes a lot of cognitive processing. So if you're fabricating, creating a false memory or embellishing, for every one lie you tell, you have to invent two or three to protect yourself from the first one. And I don't care how well prepared you are, you can't possibly pre-anticipate every likely question that I could ask you.
What do you mean? What's an example of that?
Well, let's say I'm interviewing you for like a homicide and the pathologist established time of death at 7 p.m. last night. And you were seen in the locality. I'd ask you what you did from, say, 4 to 10, and you might say, I went out. Then there's where all the questions. Questions are the tools of my trade. But more importantly, it's not necessarily the questions, it's how you react to the questions. So typically, give you a real quick example, I was training profilers in Dubai for Emirates, and these guys are really switched on. And
they use weapons.
They do. It's amazing what you can get using weapons. But anyway, they wanted me to put some questions together to work out whether or not people may have been potential terrorists. So one of the questions I put together for them is, do you have any terrorist associations? And they all looked at me and they said, why on earth would a terrorist admit to that? I said, it's got nothing to do with the question, but everything to do with their reaction. Truthful people take ownership, whereas deceptive people create distance, disassociation, and separation in language. So many cases, I've worked on 89 homicide cases, and sometimes what I look for is whether or not the person is taking ownership or creating distance. Bill Clinton, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Often, some police departments will get me to look at a plea, a media plea for the return of their loved one. Yep. And there's a case here, Kaisha Abrams, I don't know if you remember that one, young girl. And the mother went there with her de facto boyfriend. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that they were involved because he turned around and he said, she was such a wonderful child. When he said was, that's past tense. Trust me, if you've ever spoken to a parent who's had their child abducted, they will never, ever talk in past tense. Why? Because their expectation is their child will be returned to life safe and well. So it's almost like they had given up. Getting back to the homicides, I'd ask you, where did you go? I went out. Where did you go? Restaurant. What was the name of the restaurant? Have you been there before? What time did you leave? What was your route you took to get there? What time did you arrive? What was on the menu? Have you been there before? That's a very interesting question because if they have and they were involved in the murder at another place, they can draw from memory that they've been there before. So then we have to take them beyond that. So you may be able to think of a lie, but do you sound believable and credible? And sooner or later, your story will fall apart at some stage.
I'm exhausted just listening to that. I want to confess to something I haven't done.
These are all the questions that Amanda asks about me on a Monday.
Yeah.
What did you do? What did you get up to? I said, what are you, a cop? How many questions are you going to ask?
Well, we have some questions here, Brendan, that our audience has asked that I ask you and Steve will observe you.
Right.
And let us know whether he thinks you're telling the truth or not.
Okay, well, I'll put my truthful face on. We'll take a break and we'll come.
You should be very worried.
Should I be worried? So I don't know what the questions are.
Do you know what a death cap mushroom looks like?
Oh.